Your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
We get this from the Yates Flooring Center chat line off the Double T 97.3 mobile app. You're being called the Earl of Reasonableness.
Okay. I've been called worse. I would take that as a compliment.
I think this is a compliment. I need the Earl of Reasonableness to weigh in. Jamie, is my anger at the Big 12 misplaced for giving Oklahoma and Texas cush home games with fired up crowds for their final games in the league?
Oh, man. I don't want to call that a cush home game for the Longhorns. You didn't perform this year like we all thought you were going to perform.
Yeah.
Okay. That should have been a real football game.
Mm-hmm.
Was there an injury heading into that game that you said, we can't compete with what we have right now?
No, because
I didn't have that.
No, because we talked about on the opposite side of what was the impact of them losing their running back. Was that going to be an impact on the game? Not that was going to be the difference maker, but you're hoping that could give you maybe a little bit of an opportunity.
Yeah, as far as the Sooners went, maybe a little bit of a different deal. But man, we've gone down to Austin in recent years and put on a great show, win or lose.
Mm-hmm.
Put on a great show and been a really entertaining football game. I don't know. I think there should be some anger towards the Big 12 or its leader, if you're a Red Raider fan, over what happened on Friday. But I think most of the anger or disappointment just needs to be, you got to kind of look in the mirror a little bit.
Yeah. Internally. You can do that. All right. So,
but from day one, we've talked about Bret Yormark just circled that game on the calendar. In as dark a Sharpie as you could ever want.
Mm-hmm.
And it absolutely looked like it. It absolutely looked like that team circled that game on the calendar and wanted it bad. Okay. And I'll also say another thing. I would like to know how many of you, when it was 50-7 and, there's a minute or so left in the game and they could have taken a couple kneel downs. I'm not criticizing Texas for doing it, but they could have taken a couple kneel downs and ended it at 50-7 and they're still running plays. How many of you are thinking, oh, yeah. Oh, Sark really appreciated Joey McGuire's text message after a big win. Yeah,
it's fair. It's not like we haven't done that. So,
well, no, again, I'm not criticizing them.
Yeah.
But they absolutely could have taken a knee. It could have ended 50-7.
Sure.
And they're still. They weren't running flea flickers or anything like that.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not accusing them of running up the score, but they didn't have to score again.
Yeah.
They could have taken a knee or two there and ended it. And then they didn't. And they didn't. And all I was thinking about was Joey McGuire's comments about, sending Sark a congratulatory text message after they congratulatory text message. How about that? After they beat Alabama. And I'm thinking, really appreciated that text message, didn't he? Let me put it on you a little more.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Quinn, you were saying after the game with regard to Bret Yormark's comments, and he said, head coach Joey McGuire's, it's just crazy for our commissioner to say that about us. It wasn't lost on the Longhorns. They also played that message over the scoreboard towards the end of the game. So, you don't blame them. You don't blame them at all. We probably would have done this. We wouldn't probably. We would have done the same thing if the tables had been turned. We would have done the same thing.
Yeah, it was surprising to me that everybody here loved the comment so much without really thinking what it was doing.
Yeah, no, that's a fair assessment. I probably stand in that line that you're talking about. I'm not going to be the head of the line, but I didn't necessarily have a problem with it. I was there when he said it, so it didn't just resonate on me going, oh, this could come back to haunt us. And I was thinking, no, that's right on, man. So
but
I'm guilty as charged right here. I mean, I'm guilty as charged for not thinking, well, that could be a problem in November. No, I was thinking.
At the same time, though, we were at that point in the year, we were expecting to be competing for in the conversation for the Big 12 championship.
Sure.
Yeah.
We weren't picking 8 wins at that point in time of the year.
No, and
Yeah.
you got 6.
But at the same time, let me say this. What I'm doing right now is blame shifting. Okay? The problem was not Bret Yormark's comments. The problem was the way you played. It's on you. It's on you. Be motivated. Be fired up. Be anxious to play. Be, hey, we want to beat these guys like it means, it's the most important thing in the world to us. It looked like it that way on the other sideline, and good for them.
Yeah.
We didn't look like we had that same fire. We looked like we were deer in the headlights.
And look, a couple of people bring up injuries on the defense, and I understand that. And every team's going to have
and I think that's fair. I mean, I think that affected our defense.
It is fair. I mean,
But
when you're missing Jalen Hutchings, you held out Jacob Rodriguez on purpose. With regard to Tyler Owens and Miles Price, those guys were banged up and then due to Banks, inside the game. But Rodriguez, you preserved his red shirt is what you did. Whether that was good, bad, or indifferent, whether it's even going to come into play, because he could be a guy that leaves early anyway. So then the red shirt becomes a moot point. But was Jacob Rodriguez going to make that much of a difference in that game? Probably not.
I wouldn't guess he was going to make a 50-point difference.
No, probably.
I'm not sure Aikman, Emmett, and Irving would have made a difference in that game.
Or even Irvin.
Needed some offensive linemen.
I was thinking of Julius Irving, but
Okay, well.
Can we get some of those?
Kyrie wouldn't have helped either. Yeah. No, it's fair. All right, so here's maybe the pink elephant in the room, and this is a question from South Texas Ambassador Preston. Morning, guys. Hot question: does Zach Kittley make it to next year as the offensive coordinator? My guess is yes.
My guess is yes.
Now, there's a lot of dangling participles in there. Now, does somebody, is there are there changes, whether they're willing or not? I just don't get the sense that you're going to, quote, hang a body for this season. There may be some guys that are encouraged to move along or that get opportunities to move along, and you don't, make a big, deal to save them. I wouldn't know who or what circumstance, but there's always going to be movement, right? There's always going to be movement. But I just don't get the sense with as much play as you went into the season from the head coach that you're going to get somebody that says, hey, this guy's the reason why we didn't do very well, and so we're going to make a change here. Like Baylor's made a change with their offensive coordinator. Dave Aranda is going to have to make significant changes apparently to his staff to save his job, and apparently he's going to do that. I don't get the sense that that's going to be the case here. But I'm not in those meetings. I'm not inside those walls. But that's the sense that I get. The sense that I get would be whoever wants to come back can come back. If you want to move, you can move. But I don't get that. I don't get that sense that they're going to, quote, hang a body, so to speak. Do you?
I wouldn't guess so. My guess is that Joey McGuire is a very loyal guy. Mm-hmm. I think he's pretty loyal to his people, and I know sometimes we've seen coaches, whether that be players or assistant coaches, be loyal to a fault, and that sometimes they stand behind guys that they need to move on from or whatever. But I don't know if that's the case here or not. I'm not really sure, but my guess is that just the way Coach McGuire has talked all season long, I don't think he's putting this on the offensive coordinator, and I do not expect there to be a change.
Yeah, I don't either. I would agree with that. 6:25 this morning here on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3.
Your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Jamie Lent, Jeff McGuire, I'm Chuck Heinz. We'll have the high school fan zone on the air tonight for you. That'll be at 6 o'clock on 100.7 The Score. We'll have Coronado girls basketball coach Ashley James, Estacado football coach Will Blaylock. Their team came to an end this past weekend with Friday, should say, and they probably made the deepest run as far as the Lubbock City schools are concerned. We'll have Lubbock High School girls basketball coach Brent Palmer on, and Monterey girls basketball coach Jill Schneider on. That'll be on tonight at 6 o'clock on the high school fan zone. We'll also have the Cowboys Hour. And Jamie, it's a victory Monday for the Cowboys, even though it comes after a Thursday, and they've well moved past that. But it's still a victory Monday for the Cowboys.
Okay.
So be looking for that. And then tonight...
I mean, they're coming off a short week, going to a week where they play on Thursday.
Right.
So shouldn't victory Monday have been Saturday?
Probably, but I mean,
aren't they treating today like a Wednesday?
I'm sure we'll hear that, right? But it's still Monday. It comes after a Thursday win. It's still a victory Monday, and they didn't have a Cowboys Hour for us to celebrate the victory Saturday show on Saturday.
Well, they could have. We were just busy doing other games.
We were busy doing other things.
That could have been an option.
We were busy doing other things. So, I had two questions for you guys this morning, and I'm sure I don't know if you'll be able to answer one of them, or if there is an answer for one of them. One question is your biggest disappointment of the year. Can't be just the year. Your biggest disappointment of the year, and the other is your favorite game of the year. So take a swing at either.
We're like a month early, aren't we, on these kind of questions?
Well, I mean, just kind of the post-mortem, of the football season. I thought just maybe your early reaction.
Are you talking just football, or you want the entire calendar?
No, I'm just talking about just football.
You're just talking about Tech football.
Yeah,
okay. Okay.
Tech football season.
Okay, my bad. I thought you were talking.
I'm sorry, I just didn't clarify that enough for you. These are my notes from yesterday that I made to myself.
So our biggest disappointment.
Is it what took place on Friday? I mean, without question, is that the easiest thing, or do you have something more global overall that you would like to see? It could be just the total performance of the whole team.
Can I just say 6-6?
You can. You could say whatever you'd like.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going single game, I'm not going Friday. I'm going the West Virginia game.
Okay.
West Virginia is very mediocre.
Okay.
You should have never lost that game.
Okay, that's the game you lost on September the 23rd.
Mediocre, and they were playing a backup quarterback who's horrible.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, should have never lost that game.
You lost that game 20-13. Lost 3 of your first 4.
I mean, just I hate to go like big, but it's like the fact that, I mean, you thought you were going to be in the mix for the Big 12 championship game, and you were felt like you were eliminated from that pretty early. Mm-hmm. Even though you end up with a decent Big 12 record. I'm not going to act like it's awesome, but it's decent. I mean, being above 500 in Big 12 play hasn't come easy around these parts.
Right.
We've now done it 2 years in a row.
Mm-hmm.
And was there a second part?
Second part was your favorite game of the year. Do you need some help? I mean, want me to give you a couple of games to think about?
No, I know which ones you won.
Do you have one that you particularly enjoyed going to, or?
I guess just the fact that, I mean, anytime you beat TCU, I think it's a big deal.
Yeah.
So it was a home game. We needed it. That was pretty good. I feel like maybe your most complete game was the Baylor game. So winning there in Waco, dominating performance. The that would be high on my list too. But those are also the two teams that in the conference that I dislike the most.
Jeff, anything come out to you?
This entire group of Texas Tech wide receivers is the most disappointing.
Mm-hmm.
I've been watching Tech football since Spike Dykes was your coach. This is the worst group of receivers I've ever seen.
Man, on Friday, I mean, just not competing for the ball. I mean, I'm not catching the ball when they were open and it's in their hand. I mean, I don't know. I mean, the fact that they can't
break press coverage, they can't block on the outside. They doesn't feel like they can get open, even if it's a simple quick route. Like across the board, you could change every wide receiver out next year, and I don't know that I would miss anybody.
Well, especially for a group that you thought you were really high on going into the season.
Yeah, and like guys that I look at and I think, oh man, that he's talented. If it clicks for him, he's going to be good or he's going to do great things. And it just never clicked for any of them. You know, I think I spent of the 12 weeks of the season, about 13 of them thinking Bradley's going to break out. Mm-hmm. He's going to figure this out. He's going to have a big game. How does a guy that talented just never, was not a factor hardly at all for you this year?
No, not hardly at all. Jeff, do you have a favorite game of the year?
The TCU game should be because it was the home win and it's a rivalry game. It was a Thursday night. You needed that win and got it. But I'm going to go with the Baylor game. It was your best, most complete game, and it kind of also felt like you got the monkey off your back from Baylor last year in that one game because it was the worst game you played last year. So, hey, good news. If we play Texas next year, we should be really good. Well, I don't think it's going to work that way.
That's not going to work No. It's not going to work that way.
But, yeah, I was really, really nervous going into that Baylor game thinking that it was going to be another debacle like the year before. And you went in there and controlled the whole game. So that's where I leaned for your best performance of the year, which was why it's my favorite.
I mean, the first two are pretty disappointing. Especially when you're up 17-0 on Wyoming. Man, how did the season change on that game? And then, the Oregon game with, feel like you're driving with an opportunity to win and, give up the interception and lose by 8. Those two were pretty disappointing. And maybe for me, the last one, just because, you beat a UCF team that was really very competitive, and you found a way to win at the end of the day, and you got yourself bowl eligible. All right, so if you have a thought on that, hit us up on the Yates Flooring Center chat line, Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com.
This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Take your thoughts, comments, Yates Flooring Center chat line. Go to the Double T 97.3 mobile app. For that, it's presented by Happy State Bank. Visual Edge IT hotline is open as well for you. We'll have Cowboy Hour tonight at 6, High School Fan Zone tonight at 6. Among the coaches that will appear on the High School Fan Zone tonight, Jill Schneider, the head basketball coach for Monterey, her team will be in action tomorrow against Friendship, and we'll have that game for you on Double T 97.3 at 6. It's a girl-boy doubleheader starting at 6, and then the boys will play tomorrow at 7:30. That might be a little basketball game that could be of interest tomorrow. Both those boys and girls games.
Yeah, absolutely.
That'll be at the Friendship Tiger Pit.
Tiger Pit.
Okay. Yeah. Could be full up. Lady Raiders got a couple of wins in Las Vegas over the weekend. They beat Rutgers first, 79-72. Got 28 points from Jazz Shavers and 24 from Bailey Maupin as they came from 9 down to win the ball game. Rutgers in the first half scored at will in the paint. Just at will. They would finish with 50 points in the paint. They had 32, though, in the first half, Jamie. And Tech went to a zone in the second half. And Coach Gurley said after the game, she says, I am not too prideful to not play zone, because they were big, they were long, and physical, and then you were able to clamp down in the second half, shoot the ball better, get to the free throw line a little bit, in the second half, particularly in the fourth quarter. They went 11 of 12. Tech would finish 26 of 29 from the free throw line against Rutgers.
Really, that was the key stat in the game. 26 points from the free throw line.
Yeah, and the fact that you hit 9 threes, that's 2 more than what you normally do, and limited them from the free throw line. They were 8 of 14, and you just kept driving. They kept fouling, and so you put yourself in a really good spot. Bailey Maupin went 10 of 11 from the free throw line, and she was the big star there, and Jazz Shavers went 9 of 9 from the free throw line.
I think I'm noticing it more now this season because girls high school basketball, which I watch a lot of, has gone to the same rules as far as 5 fouls in every quarter. You go to the free throw line or whatever. I just,
do you like it or not?
I hate it.
Okay, you'd rather shoot the 1-and-1 after 7.
Yes, I feel like we've just made girls basketball a free throw shooting contest.
Okay.
Yeah, I think in the college level, it's probably less noticeable because they're more skilled players and they're able to defend without fouling as much. But even so, I mean, again, that game was won at the free throw line, which a lot of games are. I mean, and whether you're talking about men's, women's, NBA, whatever, I just think it sends people to the free throw line too much. I hate that you don't have the pressure of making the front end of a 1-and-1. But anyway, I mean, it was benefited the Lady Raiders on whatever night that was. Friday.
That was Friday.
Friday.
Yeah.
Can I go back to something? And when she said it going back to Chuck bringing up the comment Gerlich made in the postgame that she wasn't too prideful not to go to the zone. Not a basketball expert, didn't play, didn't understand why pride had anything to do with it. I commend a coach for making a change that's successful.
Yes,
I want more coaches to make more changes, to be more successful.
She wants to play man-to-man. She wants to play man-to-man.
Coaches expect their player to be able to guard somebody.
She wants to be able to play man-to-man.
Yeah.
But the fact that they were able to make that adjustment for something they really hadn't practiced she was really happy with her team to be able to do that.
So would you say, Chuck, in the Big 12, they'll face more teams that with size like you saw against Rutgers?
Yeah, and I think that becomes more of a Big 12 style. That was more of a Big 12 style game, so that's a concern, sure.
Yeah, so that's probably something we will have to see more of as the year goes along, especially because you're not playing your true bigs as much. You're playing with a smaller lineup.
Yeah.
And you're not playing those true bigs as much as maybe you have in years past because, you're much quicker and way more athletic with the smaller lineup out there. So I wonder if Coach is going to have to do that, a little bit of that against those, when you're playing Aoka Lee and all that, and Kansas State and other teams with a lot of height.
Probably Kansas,
that
Texas,
girl from Kansas, just ate our lunch last year.
Yeah. So there's. And, the good news about KU and K-State for the Lady Raiders is you only have to play them once this year. Okay. So that's, I mean, it doesn't mean that you're going to get a pass with the others. It's just Aoka Lee is Aoka Lee. I mean, nobody doesn't like her. I mean, she's pretty good. She's pretty good. But, I mean, the fact that you're able to make that adjustment, and I think they really like the play of that's come on of Elena Arike. I mean, she's a little bit bigger and a little bit more. She's stronger.
And moved into the starting lineup.
Yeah. She started because it was a coaching decision. Weren't particularly happy with what Jordan Merritt was doing in that starting role. But then Merritt comes off the bench against Santa Clara, and she has a nice game, and didn't pout or didn't get mad about it, and she had 9 points and 5 rebounds and played 24 minutes, and I think that's one thing they really like is that they've got some depth on their bench to be able to go to somebody else if somebody's have had a couple off nights.
That's good, and she's played great off the bench. So it's good to see her, come into the starting lineup, get some key minutes, and continue that. But I think as the season goes along, you'll see Jordan Merritt kind of find her place one way or the other. She's just plain too talented.
Absolutely, and I think the fact that you've got Merritt and Freelon, especially Freelon. I mean, she doesn't play at 6'1". I mean, she's she's your leading rebounder, and she's doing she can jump out of the gym, and it's just, you just have some, the bigger players that you have right now can't keep up with the pace because they want to play at a frenetic pace. They want to put pressure on the ball. They want to put pressure on the defense, and frankly,
and that's why you're playing with a smaller lineup.
Yeah, the two bigs can't keep up with that.
Right, and you're hoping you could take advantage of their quickness against other teams' bigs, but the disadvantage is you not having the size inside.
Sure. But I mean, the way that Maupin is shooting the ball right now, and same thing with Shavers. I mean, they're shooting the ball really, really well, and then just the way that Ashley Chevalier is able to handle the ball, kind of allows Maupin to do what she does best, which is she's a playmaker,
shooter, scorer,
can shoot and can score and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, so that was that. You get a couple of wins there, and they'll be next in action on Wednesday against UC Irvine. UC Irvine, one of their assistant coaches, Derek Wynn, is Jada Wynn's dad. So he'll have the scout on her, I'm sure. He'll say, "Watch that number 24." And I mean, Jada Wynn threw up a ball the other on Saturday that went round and round and round. It was like a roulette ball, and it went down through the net. But I mean, it touched every part of the rim and spun around and went right down there through it. So it worked out. It worked out well.
Still counts the same.
It still counts the same. That's exactly right. So I think they were really happy with their performance and what you did against Santa Clara was a different type of team. They brought and they're a team that's expected to do extremely well in their league. So the fact that you're able to beat them was nice. So a couple of good wins there in Vegas for the Lady Raiders. 7:25 this morning. Jamie's question of the day is next. I'm sure that you'll have a good one for us. You have a thought-provoking one for us?
I don't know, man. I'll let you decide that.
Okay, we'll see. That's next year this morning.
This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Time now for Jamie's question of the day on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3.
All right, it's 7:32 this morning. Your question, sir.
Okay, so I'm fearful you're not going to love this one.
Well, okay.
I asked you a question last Monday, and you and I think our listening audience for the majority, maybe about half and half, was higher than I was. Okay?
Okay.
I'm asking you to give the coaching staff as a whole a grade for this football season.
I can't remember what my grade was last week. Or was it last week?
Last week we kept hearing, if you beat Texas,
Oh, okay.
if you beat Texas, we kept hearing that, okay? You did not beat Texas.
Yeah.
And you lost bad.
Okay.
So if you're just looking, and maybe I shouldn't say coaching staff. You want to go just team. Give the team whatever.
I mean, it's hard to. I guess just my feeling is it's no better than a C, maybe a C minus. I would say C just because you figured out a way to win, 3 ball games in a row and get yourself bowl eligible, despite all the adversity that you went through. However you want to define that. I don't want to always use injuries as an excuse, but I mean you did have 2 of your quarterbacks go down. You did have a quarterback that. We don't know the full extent of the injuries to Baron Morton, the problems with the defense at times, the problems with, I'm just going to say C. I'll give him a C.
I kind of feel like this year's football team is the sports version of the guy that ends up last out of medical school.
He's still called doctor.
Still called doctor.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
Because you still made a bowl game.
And where we get 9 out of in the Big 12? Is that right? Is that the right number?
I believe yes, that's correct.
And you had a winning record
That's
in
cool.
you had a winning record in Big 12 play for back-to-back seasons for the first time since 08-09. Those are impressive things to have happen. you're last place out of medical school. And I don't know what that would be. D- feels like a great grade if I needed to give a letter. But I think the position is really more where I feel this team has landed. You made it out by the skin of your chinny chin chin. You've got a bowl game. You kept the streak alive. You did well in some parts, but you got a lot of work to do to improve your skill.
So, do they even do pluses and minuses in the D category? Or is it just a D?
Well,
I don't want to give them just a D.
Is Texas Tech on a plus-minus grading scale?
I don't know what that means.
Like D+, D-, A+, A-. I mean,
I've always known of A's and B's and C's to have pluses and minuses. I've never actually heard of somebody getting a D+ or a D-.
Okay, well.
That was my question. Okay. I'm at a just solid D. Okay. To me, you passed the class.
Okay.
You're allowed to move on
Okay.
to the postseason.
Okay.
Okay. Just a solid D. I can't call it a failure because you've now moved on to third grade or fourth grade or whatever grade you're going into, aka you're going to a bowl game. Okay, so I can't call it a failure. But I don't know. I can't get to a C. Okay, I can't get to a C. I think you did the least possible to get to the next grade.
All right.
And that's what a D does. A D passes you, correct? You can move on with a D. Yeah, probably doesn't make mom and dad real happy, but you've moved on to the next grade.
I think I had at least one class where you had to at least get a C to be able to get credit for the class.
Okay.
I just remember getting a C- in a class that I really thought that I understood and did well in, but I flunked a couple of the first two tests, and I went in and pleaded and, participated in the class and was there every day and did well on the final, and I got a C- in the class, and I was able to move on.
Okay.
But I needed that class to graduate.
Yeah. I just feel like last week when we talked about this, the reason I re-racked this one is there was hope for this Saturday or this past Friday and how that would change everything. Because if you sent the Longhorns out with an L or knocked them out of a Big 12 championship game, I think there were plenty of people that were, hey, I could get to a B if, and then that didn't happen and it was bad. But my grade was team as a whole, not necessarily the coaching staff. I mean, coaching staff can't really control injuries, and I mean, and I can get into your Chuck. You had 6 quarters where you were playing a guy that was just a talented young man, but did not have the experience and the snaps to be ready for what he was facing, which made it really difficult for you to win those games. But at the same time, I think of other losses where you were healthy at the quarterback position, and I got to knock you back down a peg for losing those games, right? And feeling like injuries didn't affect that. It was you who affected that.
Well, that would be the Wyoming game and the Oregon game. I think West Virginia, I mean, you had injury problems in that game, but I mean, you shot yourself in the foot in that game by refusing to run the football
in the first half.
Yeah,
and that's why I don't give you a pass for West Virginia.
Yeah.
And as far as Barron goes, it's been a really. He did not look right on Saturday or Friday. Gosh, how many times am I gonna get that wrong? He did not look right. But I mean, Coach McGuire has talked, and seems like Barron has too, about him being as healthy as he's been all season, right? Since before the West Virginia, he's practicing more since West Virginia. But he did not look good the other day. Now maybe that was because he was gun shy, feeling afraid from the offensive line, just their struggles. But man, didn't look like there was a lot of zip on the ball the other night. So I don't know where he's at health-wise. That didn't look like his.
I think there's been a lot of camouflaging there.
Yeah, that's a good word. There's another word that comes to mind.
Sure. Not being 100% telling the truth, but
There's another word.
We've been lied to about a Tech quarterback? No way!
I think Jeff hit the word
You
there.
could say misled. I liked camouflage. I thought that was a good word.
The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Good to hear from Choice Woodman and Jeff Haxton, their thoughts on the sporting weekend. Noon today on 100.7 The Score. It's the bottom line. And then this afternoon, Aaron Dickens and Dr. Mike Gustafson have a tech talk for you on Double T 97.3 from 3 until 6. Cowboy Hour tonight at 6, and then Bears and Vikings tonight at 7. It won't be quite the game that was last Monday night between the Chiefs and Eagles. The only reason I bring this up is it stunned me this morning when I saw this. That game was the most watched game on Monday Night Football in 27 years. Just crazy. Crazy.
Why does that surprise you? I mean, it's
Rematch of the Super Bowl. Well, just the fact that it had been 27 years that.
I mean, it was a great matchup with two of the most exciting players in the league.
Sure.
Fun teams to watch. And
sure. The last time that they had an audience that big, and it was 29 million viewers, was Green Bay at Dallas in 1996, which would have been a great matchup in 1996 as well. But still, I mean, it's not like they haven't had good games, but I mean,
I guess the surprising part that it wasn't a Cowboys game, just because the Cowboys are such a ratings monster. If there's any surprise, it would be that Dallas wasn't involved. But
you mean for this past week?
Yeah. But obviously the Chiefs and Eagles are ratings monsters right now too.
Yeah. I'll tell you something else that was a ratings monster we haven't talked about. We talked about this a little bit on Friday, but man, I just thought the Goin Band from Raiderland and their performance in New York with the Thanksgiving Day parade and what they did, in Times Square, the Times Square takeover, being on the Today Show, the whole thing. I thought that was just huge for the university. Great exposure. I mean, they looked like a marching band, they sounded like a marching band, and they marched like a marching band. I mean, just with
that's good, because if they were playing football, they'd have been doing the wrong thing.
I know, but I mean, but with precision and just with everything that you see, it looks like they just represented the university and just with the utmost fashion, with a gigantic performance, and just on a national stage, and just everything that you want to see. And if you're a friend of the university or an alum or a former student or just a fan, man, you couldn't be prouder than what the band did last Thursday on Thanksgiving Day and last week. I just think it was just a huge publicity score for the university, and just put you in great light, and did everything. Looked like they did everything they could to do everything right, and then followed up with a fantastic performance. So I thought it was just awesome. And I think the impact on that will be felt for a long time in terms of what the band did. And I feel like sometimes they don't get the credit that they deserve, because those guys work extremely hard to perform and all the things that they do. So like I said, I was just like proud as punch for them on Thursday as I watched that.
I mean, it's no Baylor line though. I mean,
no, it's way better than the Baylor line. It's way better than the Baylor line. 8:05 this morning here on the
for new morning show listeners. Please know that I'm just poking fun at Chuck there. Yeah. I am not saying that the Goin Band is worse than the Baylor line.
Right. Okay, I wanted to get your opinion on something. Here's the first thing I want your opinion on. So Michigan defeats Ohio State on Saturday. They win the ball game 30-24. Jim Harbaugh is serving a 3-game suspension because of sign stealing. But as part of his agreement with the University of Michigan, he gets a $500,000 bonus for the Wolverines defeating Ohio State 30-24. What's your feeling on that?
Doesn't feel like he coached the game. Doesn't feel like he should get the bonus.
Yeah.
But if we were in that situation, we'd probably be like, yeah, go ahead and pay him.
Yeah, probably go ahead and pay him. He was not allowed to attend the game at Penn State nor Maryland. He was involved in practices and preparations, and same thing goes for Ohio State. Now, he gets to go to the conference title game, and if Michigan wins that game, he'll be set to receive another $1.5 million in bonuses, $1 million for winning the Big Ten championship, and $500,000 for the team getting into the college football playoff semifinals. Now, one thing that Harbaugh has harped on is he has beat the drum loudly for players to get more money because of what the players do to bring awareness to the university and make money for the university. I mean, they seat 102,000 and get huge television ratings. They're part of the Big Ten, which generates large amounts of money. And Harbaugh has said he'd take less money to give some of that to the players. So maybe he should give that $500,000 to his team.
Well, when you hear about the 1.5, just for winning the game, ultimately that would get you to the college football playoff. It really does. When you hear about that kind of stuff, then you're like, well, I mean, then shouldn't the players be getting paid too if he's getting paid just to win, for being able to get into that game and win that game? Feels like they're doing part of it as well. Yeah, Jim Harbaugh is saying all the right things to help his players like him more, recruits to like him more, all the above. And if he wants to give him money, I mean, that's up to him. Yeah,
I don't know if he can legally do that.
No, he can't, but whatever.
I guess he could donate
to their initiative. It wouldn't be the first thing that he's done illegally that he's gotten away with.
Right, right. Let's see. Let me ask you this. Do you think he's coaching Michigan next year?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think he's going to another college team. The only thing he might do is go to the NFL, but I think he enjoys being the head coach at Michigan. Just that's the observation I have. So let's see that. All right, 8:08 this morning here on the Morning Drive. I got another question for you, but I think you're going to expand on it just a little bit more than what we have time for right now. It was definitely a very proud moment for me as a Goin Band alum. Okay. Other than that, how does it feel in Texas? Worst stretch to go, only 3-7, get 50 burger in the last meeting, even with having the commissioner rooting for you. Also, to have the all-time record of being 52-17, it sucks. It feels horrible. God, what do you want me to say? What do you want me to say? Agreed, Chuck. Watch the Florida game Saturday, and their band would be playing. I'm sorry. Got lost in that one. It was poorly written. Agreed, Chuck. Watch the Florida game Saturday. Their band played every play, it seemed. Why can't our band play at our games more? Oh, I don't know. That you'll have to ask somebody else that question. They play quite a bit. Sorry, don't know why they can't play more. They play quite a bit, though.
This has been the Morning Drive Podcast, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Check out our library of Double T 97.3 podcasts at doublet97.3.com.